and welcome to the second episode of Thanks for Trying. I think I did a slogan thing last time, but I can't remember, so we'll just go on. Yeah, episode 2. We are covering this time Batman and Robin from 1997. So yes, I don't know how long this is going to be. Quite long. I'm going to try and keep the intro short because we have a lot to go through. There are a few things I want to get out of the way. It's been a while because I've been busy with college and stuff. I've finished now, but I will be going to uni, so I don't know when the next one will be. I'm thinking about doing it sort of 3 episodes, sort of big episodes, and then maybe 3 sort of smaller ones in between. So we'll see. I'm thinking of the next one. So that's that. Last episode was for a college assignment, but it was quite fun. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to carry on. I got distinction on the last one on the assignment, so I'm now professional. Yep, that's what that means. What else? Yeah, positive vibes all round, I think, from the last one, from what I heard. People told me. I sort of, on my Instagram, I tagged in a podcast I listened to a lot called The Sequelizers, and they liked it, and yeah, so I think that's good. Thank you for that. Right. Shall we get on? So, Batman and Robin from 1997. Okay. I hadn't seen this before. And I watched it quite a while ago, so this took a long time to sort of write and get everything together. So I watched it over a span of probably like 3 days, in bits. I think it's one of those infamously terrible films, and everyone in it, I think, just regrets being in it. Like George Clooney, I think he used to sort of refund you if you said you'd watched it. Yeah, we'll get into it. I have a few things to say. I'll go through the cast first. I don't have a second monitor up. I couldn't get it working, so I'm reading this off my phone, and I've sort of split screen my laptop. So we'll see. I might be fiddling around trying to find stuff, so excuse me for that. And I couldn't print it off because the printer didn't work. Nothing worked. So the cast. As Batman, we have George Clooney. Val Kilmer didn't return from last one, which is Batman Forever, which I was going to go watch before this episode, but I haven't. So maybe I'll add in, if I do watch it before I finish editing, I'll add in a little section at the end or something, I don't know, of my thoughts on that, but I haven't watched that one. He didn't return, as apparently they and Schumacher didn't get along. As Robin, we've got Chris O'Donnell, Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze as Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, and he received $25 million for the role. Oof. Right, that's a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I think he was quite big at this time, because I've got a list of films he was in, sort of in the 90s. You've got Terminator 2, Kindergarten Cop, Total Recall, True Lies, Last Action Hero, Eraser, Jingle All the Way, and there's Batgirl, Alicia Silverstone, directed by Joel Schumacher, who's done Falling Down in 1993, Phone Booth in 2002, and then previous Batman Forever 1995, and a few other bits. Box office, 125 million. No, that's not the box office, that's the budget. 125 million, and the box office was $238 million. think it lost money. I'm kind of whizzing through this because I've got a big old summary and lots to talk about this, so I've skimmed that. So we'll move on to I did some research before watching the film, and I sort of compiled a list of complaints and how and to why the film doesn't work. So I think the main stuff I saw was it just felt like a massive toy commercial, not in a good way. Everything just felt like it was trying to sell toys, and everything was turned up to 11. I mean, films can do this, but I think if you mess it up, it does mess up badly, and it just feels like a weird fever dream. And this is what this feels like. Good films like the Lego Batman movie. That's quite over the top, but that's animated, so it kind of gets away with it. But it's still a very good film. It's still a very good Batman film as well. Better than this, much better than this. Yeah. All right. Expectations. This is a quick summary. Me before the film, I sort of what did I expect from it? It says, from what I've read in reviews, I'm expecting the worst. If anything, I'm hoping that I can find some enjoyment in how bad it is. Well, we will see. Alright, synopsis. We'll move on to this, and sort of along the way I will point out bits, and there's a lot of them, so we'll get going. Oh boy. So we're not even 5 minutes in, and it was very confusing already. It just so bad. The title sequence, I'm pretty sure someone sort of editing the film discovered text transitions in the editing software, and he's like, right, all of them, let's use all of them at once. And then, so weird. So then we have the worst suiting up scene ever. Just weird random zoom-ins on unnecessary bits. Costumes look awful. We won't talk about bat nipples. The Batmobile. When I first saw it, it looked awful. I think it's... And then looking at it again, it is still not good, but it is... It's alright, I don't hate it. I think my favourite one is the Batmobile in the Batman. Just because, it looks like a muscle car, and it's really cool. But this isn't, and it's weird. So, that's that. That was scene one. It just consisted of a suiting up scene and then pootling off into Gotham. And we then cut to the introduction of Mr. Freeze. Yeah. He just talks in nice bass puns for the entire film, which is awesome. Very good. Played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. He is somewhere, I don't know where he is, I can't remember. And then Batman and Robin show up to try and take him out. Mr. Freeze gets his hockey players from hell, as he calls them, to attack Batman and Robin, and it is awful. The fight scene is awful. They are just flying around on wires very clearly. Nothing has any weight. They're on... it's a museum. Yeah. It feels... all the fight scenes feel like they are like a really bad musical version of Batman. This scene feels like Batman on ice, because they're on ice. Batman and Robin deploy ice skates from their boots. Why do they have them? I know Batman is supposed to be prepared for every situation, but ice skates, like Mr. Freeze, I don't think has been a villain up until this point, so why does he have the need for ice skates? Does he skate around often? When it's winter? I have no idea. Weird. Okay, so yeah, Then Robin plays a game of ice hockey against Mr. Freeze's thugs using the diamond as the hockey puck. Amazing. So stupid. Right. Anyway, big fight scene happens. Mr. Freeze ends up with the diamond. And then he escapes using a rocket ship. Okay. Nothing weird about that. Batman ends up on the rocket ship with Mr. Freeze, and then Robin clings to the outside of it as it goes up into space. Mr. Freeze freezes Batman's arms to the walls, trapping him into the rocket, meaning he will die from oxygen starvation. But then he is saved by Robin. They blow up the rocket and glide down to Earth on bits of the rocket. This is so weird. Where are we? Yes. They glide down and attack Mr. Freeze, who is also escaping. There's a brief chase when they land, which results in Mr. Freeze escaping and Robin being completely frozen. I want to point out, what was Mr. Freeze's plan? Was it just to launch himself into space? Was he counting on Batman to get in the rocket? I have no idea. I don't get that. I don't get that. It's weird. Anyway, and then Batman unfreezes Robin. Next scene, we're then introduced to Poison Ivy, played by Uma Thurman, who is doing some experiments in a laboratory in the middle of the jungle. She sneaks into Dr. Woodrow's lab in order to see what he's doing. He's giving a demonstration of his super soldier serum called Venom to a crowd of potential buyers. He injects his venom into a patient who then grows muscle. He is then named Bane. He then, of course, breaks free because you give like a patient who's been abused in the place and been put, and yeah, you give him super abilities and muscle. Of course, they're going to break free. That's obvious. So, yep, he breaks free. And then there's a big old fight, which reveals Poison Ivy's presence in the room. And then because of this, Woodrow leads her out of the room and attempts to kill her by pushing her over a table and then pushing a shelf on her. But this just ends up turning her into Poison Ivy. And she rises out of the ground using vines, and then kills Dr. Woodrow and leaves the lab with Bane. Because they are now partners. I don't know why, there was no scene showing that they were partners, they just became partners. So, back at Wayne Manor, I think it is, Batman and Robin plan to bait Mr. Freeze into a trap by donating the Wayne's diamond collection to a ball that is being held. Mr. Freeze's lab, his lair, he reveals his master plan to hold Gotham hostage so he can gain the money to complete his research, which he will then use to save his wife, who he cryofroze after she got a rare disease called McGregor's syndrome. At Wayne Manor, we are introduced to Barbara Wilson when she arrives from England to see Alfred, who is her uncle. The chemistry in this film between the characters is so weird, especially between Batman and Robin. Between them and Poison Ivy is weird. Robin and Barbara Wilson, that's weird. It's all weird. There's some weird tension going on, and I just because I think Robin is supposed to be like, how old are they meant to be? They're like 17, aren't they? I think. It's so weird. Although Chris O'Donnell, I've got here, was 27 in 1997, and Alicia Silverstone was 21. And I'm pretty sure they're meant to be the same age. Like the same age, like 17. And there's a weird, and it makes things weirder when Robin is supposed to be, is like flirting with, fighting over Poison Ivy with Batman. It's just, who thought that was a good idea? I don't know. So yeah. Okay. Moving on, Barbara climbs out of her room at night and steals one of the motorcycles. I'm not sure what motorcycle it is. I didn't look that up. In Bruce Wayne's garage, and then it cuts to morning, or like early morning. I don't get it because it was like night time, and it cuts to morning. But then the next scene it cuts to night again. So are we supposed to believe that she's been out all day, or is it taking place in one night, or the night somehow got lighter and then darker? I don't know, that's weird. Anyway, it cuts to morning, and Poison Ivy is on her way to Gotham Observatory, which is in the hands of a giant statue. This is weird. It's like built, and it's on the actual observatory bit, like the dome, is in the hands of a massive statue. And then there's like loads of statues, like massive ones, in Gotham. It's weird. Why are they there? I'm sure there's a better use for them. Couldn't you melt them down for something better than just being there? I did have a look to see if they're in the comics, but I'm not sure. I don't think they are. Closest I could find was Lady Gotham, or the Statue of Justice. I don't know if they're the same thing. I haven't read the comics, so I want to. Anyway, so there at the observatory, Bruce Wayne donates a state-of-the-art telescope to the observatory, and then Poison Ivy shows up and gives Bruce Wayne a proposal, which shows that Wayne Enterprises can stop all toxification the company does, which he declines. That's that. There we are. That's the scene. I don't know, they don't give Poison Ivy much to do in this film. That's it. Like, she does that, and then... Oh, I think it's because... I don't know why she suddenly why does she decide to go to Bruce Wayne? I think it's because, like, the lab she was in was funded by Bruce Wayne, but then when she escaped, she burned it down. And then when they meet, Bruce Wayne is like, "Oh, you survived the place burning down," and she's like, "Yeah." I don't get it. I don't know. They don't give her anything to do. I think it's just... Anyway, this scene is basically there just to foreshadow this telescope. Right, okay, so moving on to Mr. Freeze again. He needs more diamonds to complete his research because reasons, and his suit is powered by diamonds, I'm pretty sure. So he sees that Bruce Wayne is donating the Wayne's diamond collection, and then he intends to steal them. So we then cut to that event where it's like a big sort of gala ball thing where people sort of auction and bid on stuff, and and I think there's some women there, and then people are bidding to go out with them, I think, or are they donating? I'm not sure. Anyway, there's like a big event going on, and then the special guest is Batman and Robin. What? Are they into... What? Are they in event planning now? Do they just show up to birthday parties and stuff? But this is like night time, so this is where when they're supposed to be out fighting crime. So if you're being mugged and you've just been shanked, tough. Batman and Robin, they're event planning. They're at a gala. They're being cool. So you get stabbed, you're in hospital, and you see like Batman and Robin are at like a party like 2 blocks down from you. You'd be a bit annoyed. Weird. Honestly. So Poison Ivy shows up. Why? I don't know. Just shows up. And then sort of blows gas onto Batman and Robin to make them fall in love with her. And then they do a Batman and Robin fight, and they try and bid on like taking her out for the night. And then Batman pulls out a Batman credit card. This is the point where I stopped. I stopped the film. As I write. I bought this film, by the way, for some reason. I have it now. This is now in my bank records that I bought Batman and Robin. So when I try and get a mortgage, no, they're like, what? Hang on. You bought Batman and Robin. No. I stopped the film. I was like, right. And then I didn't go back to it until the next day, because that level of stupid was so out of left field that I was just like, what? No. What is this? I would say watch it to find out, but I don't recommend watching this. Okay. And he's like, oh, I don't go nowhere without it. So is he does he use it? Does he use it? What for? Okay. Mr. Freeze shows up. He's like, he saw it. He saw what was happening. He's like, right, okay, I'm going to stop this. Next to Diamonds. I think there's a big fight. And then also, Mr. Freeze's car, his vehicle, looks a lot like something called the Stout Scarab. I don't think it's based on it, but look it up. I think I've seen the Stout Scarab at a car show. It's a really weird looking thing. It's like a bus car thing, and it's like big, and it looks like a helmet, and it looks like a scarab beetle. It's weird. Just thought I'd point that out. There's a chase. Mr. Freeze is captured. Skipping ahead some bits and bobs. Mr. Freeze is then taken to a cell in Arkham Asylum. And skipping ahead again. Robin catches Barbara leaving the garage with a bike. He follows her to a weird party thingy-majiggy, get together, whatever, taking place in a sort of rundown part of Gotham, near some train tracks, I think. And he learns that Barbara goes there to take part in street races, like motorcycle street races, for money, so he decides to take part in it again, and as well. I quite like this bit. This sort of car race, bike chase race thing. Sort of weird neon men on motorcycles. It's like a weird Mario Kart level on acid, with sparks flying everywhere and going through warehouses and boxes and stuff. It's alright. It's quite good. So Barbara's rivals try to take her out, but Robin is able to catch her and save her from falling off a bridge, and then confronts her about what she's been doing. Okay, so then Mr. Freeze is then broken out of Arkham Asylum by Poison Ivy and Bane. Batman and Robin are then called to Mr. Freeze's lair, which is being searched by the police. There they find Mr. Freeze's wife, who has been cryogenically frozen. Right. Yes, so Batman and Robin find Mr. Freeze's wife. Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy show up, and there's a big old poorly rehearsed fight with some stuff going on, ice puns and stuff. Poison Ivy finds the wife, Mr. Freeze's wife, and then unplugs her life support, and then later she tells Mr. Freeze that Batman did it. So they then hatch a plan to take over the world by turning the telescope in Gotham Observatory into a giant ice cannon. Okay, there we go. That's a thing now. I think that's what the Webb telescope's there for. That's just going to be, it's up there, and it's a big old ice cannon. Conspiracy. Anyway, a bunch of other stuff happens. Don't really need to know. Actually, I've skipped a bunch of stuff because it's just not necessary, and now the podcast would end up being like 7 hours. But I want to point out, previously Alfred he reveals that he has stage 1 McGregor syndrome, which is the thing Mr. Freeze's wife has, and he's confined to bed. That's not a real syndrome, McGregor syndrome. I looked it up. Again, I think, is it in the comics or in the books? Like the games? I don't know. I've not read any comic like DC. I just don't read comics in general, really. I've read the Civil War comics. I might read the sort of Court of the Owls run. We'll see. Anyway, Mr. Freeze and Bane arrive at Gotham Observatory, and they freeze the two scientists there, and then Mr. Freeze converts the telescope into a giant freeze ray. And Barbara finds the entrance to the Batcave, because she and Alfred had a conversation, and then he gave her a USB stick. Actually, no, not a USB stick. This is 1990. A disc, like a disc drive, which he puts into the computer, and then sort of hacks into the Bat computer. Because Alfred is looking for his brother. I think looking for his brother, who he hasn't seen in ages. I don't know if this was like a plot line in the last film. As I say, I haven't watched it yet. It might be. I don't know. Anyway, she hacks into the Bat computer. She finds that, they have like a weird they have like a, when you log into the Bat computer, they have like a graphic showing like the Batman and Robin logo sort of merging. Why? It's only them that are going to see it. Did they hire a graphic designer for that? I have no idea. Weird. And they also she finds all like the blueprints for the Batmobile and stuff on there. And also finds an AI version of Alfred, who then gives her a suit. And then there's another similar suit up to the start, which is just weird. Yes. Right. Bullet point the next few scenes. Robin confronts Poison Ivy. They fight. Batgirl shows up and they fight. Poison Ivy is defeated. They trap her in a big plant. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't do anything in this film. They don't give her any motivation for anything. They just she ends up being Poison Ivy, and then goes to Batman, and then goes to Bruce Wayne, and then ends up working with Mr. Freeze for some reason. I don't get it. Why'd they add? I don't know. It's confusing. This is why I've not really talked about her in the film and skipped over her scenes, because she doesn't actually do anything in the film. There's a scene previously where she goes and fights I can't remember what they're called, the neon guys. They're in the last film, I think. And then takes over their lair, but I just skipped over that bit because it's irrelevant. Okay, so anyway, Mr. Freeze starts to use the big ice ray to freeze parts of Gotham. Batman, Robin and Batgirl show up, with Batman in something called the Bathammer, which is a big Batmobile thing on ice skates again. Why does he have it? I don't know. So maybe he likes ice skating or something. Big kerfuffle, big fight. Telescope blows up because Mr. Freeze has sort of planted bombs around there. They manage to unfreeze Gotham by directing the sun on the other side of the world, sort of using the mirrors that the satellite used to connect to the telescope. So they sort of bounce light around the mirrors onto... Yeah, I'm no expert. I don't think that would work. I don't think using the direct power of the sun to melt ice is a good idea. I'm pretty sure it's going to do more than melt the ice. Set fire to Gotham. Pure, just power of the sun. Yeah, I don't know. Cause a lot more damage. All Mr. Freeze did was just sort of freeze a few stuff, and then Batman shows up and sets fire to Gotham using the power of the sun. Anyway, Mr. Freeze is defeated, and then Batman confronts him and reveals that his wife is still alive and that he can still save her, but only if he agrees to help Alfred. I quite like this bit. It's quite good. Them and the sort of everything. I think it's probably because everything up to this point has just been so full on that this is quite a personal interaction between Batman and Mr. Freeze, and it sort of shows that human side of Batman, and it sort of shows his core belief that sort of anyone deserves sort of a second chance, and that anyone has sort of a good part in them. So I quite like it. There's some good lines in there. Yeah, I like it. I'm sort of saying it like it's like a masterpiece. It's not. It's just marginally better than the rest of the film. Anyway, a bit more happens, and then Batman, Robin and Batgirl run off into the distance. The film ends. Yeah. I'm not sure. That's that. I wasn't sure what to. I was expecting it to be awful, and it wasn't good. And when it was bad, it was very bad. But there were still some okay bits in there, so I don't think it's... I don't think it was... I'm not going to say it was good. It wasn't. It was nowhere near good. I just don't think it was horrible. I think that I could enjoy some bits in there. I think watching it again might help. Yeah. I'm gonna get lots of... Yeah. People wouldn't agree with me, but I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was awful. It wasn't good. It was pretty bad, but it wasn't horrible. It wasn't... Yeah. Yeah, also, a few things. George Clooney I think he was a better Bruce Wayne than he was a Batman in this. He was okay at Batman. No, actually, no, not really. But he was quite good at being Bruce Wayne. Same with Mr. Freeze was actually okay. Actually, no, it wasn't okay. He was quite bad. But I think given a better script, they could have done a lot better. I think Arnold was actually quite a good choice. Because it kind of feels very over the top and comic booky, which I think could work in a better over the top film, because it is over the top, but to the point of being a bit not offensive, but just sort of full on. It's not worth. I don't think his role was worth 25 million though. So I'm kind of padding for time now. I thought this would be longer. Honestly, I've been recording for 37 minutes, and I could cut this down a lot. I tell you what, it's quite short, so I will watch Batman Forever before I edit this. So I'll add on another section on the end of what I thought of that film, just to give a more rounded approach. So that's that. Yeah. There we go. That's the end of that. That was thanks for trying episode 2, Batman and Robin. The next one I think will be sort of the last big one for this sort of. I think I'll do them in, as I said, I'll do them in blocks of 3. So I'll do 3 big ones and then maybe 3 sort of smaller sort of topic, maybe not based on like a whole film, maybe what I've been watching. Might do that, and sort of those sort of inter episodes. So next episode, I don't know what I'll do. We'll see. I have ideas. I have a list somewhere of ideas. The Room, maybe. Maybe not. Maybe something else. But yeah. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. Bonjour. Hello, it's me again. I thought it was a bit too short. I think just the first film, or the second film technically, but just Batman and Robin. So I thought I would watch Batman Forever and then stick a bit on the end. This is that bit on the end. Yes, so different day, different week actually, because life. I've watched Batman Forever, and I'm here to give my thoughts on it. So this was the first film, directed by, I can't remember his name, Joel Schumacher. Yes, so this is the first, 1995, I think. I didn't write it down, I don't know why I didn't. Oh well. 1995, I think. Joel Schumacher. So as Batman, to start with, we had Val Kilmer, and then moved over to George Clooney for Batman Forever. This is Batman Forever. I meant Batman and Robin. And then as Robin, we had Chris O'Donnell, who was introduced in this film, which I'll go over in a bit. And then as Joker, Jim Carrey, and then Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. Right, well, I'm just going to give my sort of my first impressions. Better than Batman and Robin, but still pretty poor, I'm going to say. I still wasn't overly enthusiastic to keep watching, so again it took me a bit of time to watch it because I just couldn't be bothered to sit through it. Even for this podcast, yeah. So I think it's because they have two villains. Again, to start with, like, they have two villains, and I don't think that's necessary. You got Two-Face and Riddler. Yeah, okay, alright. We'd cut there, because I had some lunch, because I was hungry. And I wanted to do this without thinking about food. So, yes, they have two villains, again, or first time, but they have two villains in this film. Riddler and Two-Face, played by Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey, who just spend the film doing the scenery. I think their portrayals, I think they did a good job sort of hamming it up and making it feel very sort of pulpy. And I think they probably did a better job than Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy in Batman and Robin, but the performance is there for the most part, but there's still there's not much depth in the characters. I know it's supposed to be like a sort of cheesy Batman film, but still, you've got to have a level of depth to your characters, otherwise people are just not gonna bother. Oh, sorry, excuse me. So I think the Riddler, it's the same sort of problem with Poison Ivy and Batman and Robin, in that they're just not given a good enough reason, I think, to become a villain. Especially, well, both of them really, but I think Riddler, it doesn't really feel like the Riddler, to be honest. I mean, they sort of give him, I don't know the comic books origin of Riddler or how many versions there are, but they do a weird version in this where he's like, I think he works for Wayne Enterprises in one of their sort of factories, laboratories thing, and he's like obsessed with Bruce Wayne, and he's working on, what is it, like sort of virtual reality mind, like watching TV, and then it feels like you're in the show, like sort of manipulating brainwaves and stuff. And then Bruce Wayne comes into the factory, and then was it Edward Nygma? That was his name. Edward Nygma sort of shows him his invention, and he's like, "Oh, can you invest?" And then Bruce Wayne is like, "No, because it's unethical." And then Riddler becomes the villain. That's it. And then he is like, "Well, okay, I'm gonna just do it anyway." And then he's sort of working in the lab after everyone's gone home, and then his manager comes in, and then he sort of attacks him, and then manipulate and sort of, I think he absorbs all of his IQ and intelligence through like the weird brainwave manipulator, and then throws him out of a window. And then I think he sort of manipulates the CCTV footage, so it just looks like he did it himself. And then that's the origin of Riddler in that. A bit weird. And then Edward Nygma is like the sort of, he's like a businessman, and then he sort of creates a machine which goes on your TV and makes you feel like you're inside the show, and then everyone around Gotham buys it, and then he absorbs all of the intelligence, and he's like got a secret lair. It's quite an obvious secret lair because it's a massive green like oil rig thing in the middle of the ocean. I'm pretty sure that's where the Riddler guy is, and I don't know how no one's put the two together, because Riddler is just him with like some stuff over his eyes and wearing green. That's it. I'm like, wow, I'm pretty sure it's that guy, but no one notices. We'll get onto that actually. And then Two-Face, his motivations are, and sort of his origin is shown in the form of like a news broadcast that Bruce Wayne is watching. I think it's like he was a lawyer, and he was I think one of the people he's what was it? It was like anyway, Batman tries to save him because he's attacked in the court, and then he ends up being shot, and then half his face is messed up. Hence the name Two-Face. I mean, that's all good. I mean, but I think it would have been better if they'd sort of shown that in like a flashback at the start of the film, maybe, and then transition into something. Instead, they don't. They just sort of show it in a weird news broadcast. Yeah, weird. Anyway, okay. So in this film, we're also introduced to Robin, or Dick Grayson, as he's known as like the first. He's the first one, isn't he? And then you had was it Jason Todd? I think that's the second one. I'm not sure. I bought a Batman comic, The Long Halloween, which I'm going to read at some point because I said I wanted to read some, and I've got one and I'm going to read it. So there we go. Yeah, so he's introduced when Bruce Wayne and someone else, I can't remember her name, they go to a circus, and then Dick Grayson is there, and he's an acrobat with his family, and then Two-Face comes in, he sets up a big bomb, and then it's winched up, and I can't remember, I think it is Two-Face wants to know the identity of Bruce Wayne, of Batman. I don't know how he thought. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know how he thought that he'd end up with his identity. Didn't get that. It was weird. And then Dick Grayson's family die when they're trying to sort of disarm the bomb. They sort of create a plan, and they try and get rid of it, which they do, but his family ends up dying. And then Bruce Wayne adopts Dick Grayson, and then he ends up finding the Batcave. He tries to become Batman's partner because he wants to kill Two-Face and get revenge, and then Batman doesn't let him. And then they end up becoming partners with some not really much set up to reward that moment. They could have done that probably better. Maybe they did it like where Batman says, "Okay, you can come on like a trial run with me," and then Robin ends up like killing someone or something, or maybe not, or doing something stupid. And then Batman's like, "Oh yeah, okay, maybe not," and then they end up becoming partners. I don't know, something like that. But just maybe set it up a bit more. Yeah, and then I've got a few little bullet points here, sort of quite stupid stuff, just sort of nitpickings, but it still bothered me. Batman doesn't really seem to be bothered about his identity being found out, because during that circus scene, so Bruce Wayne just shouts out, "Oh, I'm Batman!" So yeah, like that's during like everyone's fighting and stuff, like during the chaos, and Two-Face doesn't hear him, but still he just shouts out that I'm Batman. I don't think he would have done that. He would have done something else, I reckon. And then he just goes into the arena and starts beating up henchmen as Bruce Wayne. And then no one puts two and two together. I don't know how that doesn't happen. Who knows? And then I think Riddler ends up finding out who Batman is anyway, but then doesn't tell anyone. and then he goes insane at the end, so he doesn't tell anyone, and he thinks he's Batman. And Two-Face doesn't tell anyone because he's dead, because he dies. Yeah. Anyway, continuing on from that, identity stuff. There is something to do with Riddler, and he leaves a riddle. There we go. Although he doesn't do a lot of riddling in this film, it's weird. I don't know why. He leaves a riddle for Batman, and it is, I've written it down here. We are 5 little items of an everyday sort. You'll find us all in a tennis court. And then the answer is that there was a larger riddle at play, with the numbers in each of these riddles spelling out a name. When the numbers from these riddles were replaced with their corresponding letters in the alphabet. That's a bit basic, Riddler, come on. That's nursery levels of enigma stuff going on there. Come on, gotta do something better. They formed the combination MRE, adding up 13, 18, and something else. A combination of riddles 2 and 3, and 5. And then it's MRE, Mr. E, short for Mr. Enigma, or Edward Enigma, the true identity of the Riddler. And then Batman goes, oh, he must have manipulated the CCTV to look like he killed himself. And how did he get? I don't know how he managed to leap to that. I don't get that. How do you leap from that to that? I don't know. It's all a bit weird. I mean, that is like actual Batman detectiving stuff. That's the actual word. Which is why I made the Batman so good, because they do a lot of detective work in it. And then there's a bit of that in this, but still it just seems a bit unwarranted that he gets from there to there. Strange. And also, this is a really nitpicky thing. The Batmobile is controlled, sort of the acceleration is controlled by a lever. And you have to pull it towards you to accelerate, and then push away from you to deaccelerate. That's really annoying. That was really annoying when I was watching it, because I'm like, surely the other way. For a boat, I think it's the other way around. So it makes sense that it's the other way around. I would end up deaccelerating, crashing or something. You push away to accelerate, and then towards you to deaccelerate. That's usually how those things go. But Batman is like, nah, I'm going to do it differently. Strange. Yeah, I'm not going to go through like a full plot thing, because we'll be here for like 97 hours for the 2 films, and I don't really want to. I've just sort of thought I'd add this bit on the end, just as like a little bonus film. So yeah, that's my thoughts. I think it's better than Batman and Robin, but still not very good. Yeah, so next episode, I don't know. I might do. I don't think I'm going to do another film. I think I might do like a best of 2023 or something. I might do another film. I don't know. We'll see. But that is that. I am just thinking of other stuff to say and dragging out the episode, which I'm not going to do anymore. I'm just going to end it there. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to this second episode of Thanks for Trying. I have been Oscar. Goodbye.